Whether you're a new real estate investor just taking down your first property or an experienced veteran with thousands of units under your belt, operating your multifamily deal is the make or break point for building wealth. Welcome to this Property Operations Miniseries, part of the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. This miniseries is hosted by my friend Jack Petrick and, of course, by me, Agostino Pintus, the host of Bulletproof Cashflow. In this miniseries, we'll cover what you do after you take down that deal and what it's going to take to become a successful property owner that you want to be. So let's go ahead and get into the show. Hey guys, this is Agostino. We have Jack on as well. And, you know, part of this mini series, we're talking about operations, right? And a big part of the operations we've covered already. Property management is huge, and getting the property manager hired on and tenants. And those are the big things that are critical to the operational side of an asset. But what's even more frustrating for many people is how to actually get those units turned, the contractor side. And I think the only reason why people get frustrated is the same way people get fear, is because they don't understand it, right? They don't understand what to do or how to do it. And Jack's a master operator, right? That's why I wanted to do this show with him and to introduce you guys to him, because he really knows how to operate. And if you haven't noticed already, he's already hit on checklists, right? Everything runs by checklist. And the reason why, from a business perspective, you should run everything by checklist is because it's easy to replicate. When you're easy to replicate that business and easy to replicate that spot, that seat in that business, using a checklist, using a very simple thing you can pass on to somebody, you're going to gain so much more efficiency. You know, you're able to, like, say for instance, you know, employees don't stay in one seat forever, right? They just don't. So it's easy just to replace them. Here's a checklist. Make sure everything here is followed, followed along. And, but anyway, another big aspect of the operational side is managing the contractor side. And if you've been following this mini-series so far, you know that Jack has done plenty of building houses, but also, of course, is into many multifamily deals. And it's going to be interesting to get your feedback about how to find these people and how to really organize them, right? I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things. Maybe we start with how do you find a good contractor?
Sure. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about this one. And the way to find a good contractor is by failing forward and hiring a bunch of bad ones. This is how we do it. So when I got involved in this 16 years ago, I had no background, no experience. I learned. And oftentimes people will be like, well, I don't understand that. Well, that's great. But, to take something for Gary Vaynerchuk, like, you weren't born knowing how to drive a car, but you figured it out. Like, first of all, we have Google and YouTube. So there's no excuse to be like, well, I don't know how to do it. Well, you got to figure it out. And is so critical in this, because so many people don't know. They get overwhelmed, but, there's so many free resources to figure out. Because the first part of this is for you to become educated. Doesn't mean that you have to be the one to do the work, but you have to be knowledgeable enough to know what materials have to go on, what it should cost, and the difference on what the quality is, because it affects everything moving forward. So you have like 3 decisions to make. Do you hire a general contractor? Do you hire subcontractors? Or do you hire like all around, handymen? I've done it all. The challenge with the general contractor is typically the really good dialed in contractors that are general contractors. Their focus is new construction. That's where the money's at. They're going to, they can knock out and build a Chick-fil-A within a few months. We cannot afford that level of skill set and competency to do the projects we do. We don't have the budgets to do that. So unless you're building new, if you're building new, that's the route you go. But if you're rehabbing a value add property, I can assure you, unless you've got limited funds, that you're not going to be able to make numbers work. So that option is eliminated. The other challenge with general contractors, that's the easy route. So it would be easy to be like, let's just hire the guy that's the expert and just, go do what we do and turn back on it. But you can't just turn all the keys and responsibility over and not have an accountability in it, because when that one contractor goes bad, the entire job site is done. So that leaves us to subcontractors and maintenance men. I have made the mistake for years of using a lot of unskilled maintenance guys or jack of all trades and have them do the work because there's a perception that the work is cheaper, and it's not. There's a saying that skilled labor isn't cheap and cheap labor isn't skilled, and I can't any furthermore explain the truth of that. I have had people working at $12 an hour that have cost more than somebody at $50 an hour because of the amount of time it takes, the work that we had to rip out, the downtime, because every day that we don't have a property rented, we're losing revenue. We will never get that revenue back. So right now, what is working best for us when we're turning over units is having essentially roughly 4 different crews. If you look at the home building industry, everybody is a subcontractor. There's a reason for that. There's efficiencies. The guy that lays block every day, he gets really good at laying block. You ask him to hang drywall, he has no idea. There's a reason for that. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. I will have guys that focus just on demo. There's a checklist that we put together, and I set the pricing on that. Let me talk about that real quick. The biggest mistake you can make is bring somebody out and say, what are you going to charge for this? You have to be knowledgeable enough to know what the going rate of work is, and you set the price. Because when you don't do that, it's immediately you're showing weakness. And if they know you're clueless, they're going to judge their price based upon how bad they need the work or don't need the work and what area you live in. They drive into a nice community, you got a Range Rover in the driveway, the price just doubled. And that's just how the business works. So you have to be knowledgeable enough and take the time. And it's a lot of effort to figure this out. Once you figure it out, it's a one-time time investment. Then moving forward, you don't have to figure that out. You can just use that knowledge and move forward with it.
Yeah.
So
now, but Jack, to interrupt you for a second, to reiterate that point right there, because that's beautiful, because not many people do that. They usually call the contractor, they come over, how much is it going to cost to paint this room and to replace the flooring? That's the wrong approach, right? And now this is going to vary. Yeah, but this is going to vary. This is going to vary from city to city, municipality to municipality. But maybe we could dive in just for a second on how do you define that? I mean, we know what the cost of paint is roughly, and we know roughly what labor could be if someone could figure that out. Is it just a matter of, okay, materials of this wall multiplied by the amount of time to paint this wall is how much this wall will cost to paint? Or like how can someone use that as a general rule of thumb?
It's simple. With everything else, we determine what we want and we reverse engineer it. And that's the same thing with life. If we want to get in shape, this is the outcome we want. This is what the exercise, what the eating has, and I'm guilty of this. I'm not doing it. That's why. But this is the goal, and this is what we have to do. So all this is just simply reverse engineering it. So first of all, I will start and determine what the material is, what the labor is. So I provide material. I do that for a number of reasons. I get exceptionally low prices. I go to Sherwin-Williams and we're paying 400 apartment units. You better believe we're getting better pricing. We're buying shutoff valves for $2.50. We're on the shelf for $10. That's another subject. We'll get into that. But we control the material because we can get the right quality, the right pricing, the right savings. Then all we're negotiating then is the labor part of it. So now we can focus on the labor. So that's the first step. The second step is, every area in the country is going to have different labor rates. So I'm familiar with the Midwest. I know roughly how much somebody is trying to make per hour in the Midwest. And so I figure that dollar amount out. And that's going to be different if you're in San Francisco versus Ohio. Secondly, how many hours should it take a competent person to be able to do the job if he has the tools and knowledge to do that? And that might be a slight guess. If we're just talking about demo, if it's a lighter demo, maybe it's 5 hours. If it's a heavy demo, maybe it's 10 hours. So you kind of have to make that decision and then plug the number in and then talk that explanation to that person. And sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right, but at least you're taking this budget from here, you're breaking it down to separate pieces, and then you're putting a time allotment on a task. And that's how we do it. We take the entire labor of what's got to be done, we break it down line by line. Demo, rough and plumbing, electrical, hanging drywall, finishing drywall, paint prep, all the way down the line to installing smoke detectors, toilets, everything has a time allotment. So if we take that whole task, we break it down into separate pieces, then we can put time allotments on it. How long it should take. It takes a lot of time and effort. You do it once, Now you have that from project to project to project, and now you have a system that works. That's why large franchises work, because there's a system in place, and you have to do the work. I've done the work. That's something I'm going to, be offering to people down the road, but right now, that's how we did it.
Right. And what we're going to get into how much work to actually do, right? Because you can't overdevelop, but let's not get into that. We'll go. Let's stay down the contractor route. And so now you have 4 teams. You said right now, and each.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have
each one of these members is specialized, right?
A crew that does demo. It sounds like it's simple. It's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy, and there's more people that can do it wrong than can do it right. You have to be there. You have to identify. You have to set expectations of what's got to get done. Somebody has to be there to go through those first few units to say, well, this is right, but this has to get corrected, so the next ones are being done correctly. Other things like to improve the efficiency of the demo crew is like, do they have dollies? Do they have garbage carts? Do they have contractor garbage bags and the right tools to get the job done? So that's also some involvement of working with that team. We're also teaching them how to shut the water off when you nail a water line and you flood the place out. Like, let's teach them how to shut the water off and how to deal with that, because if you don't, it's going to happen. So we have a demo crew. Second crew we have that's going to be coming in is typically going to be a drywall finisher, because oftentimes we're going to have more imperfections because of 30 years of neglect. We have corner bead that's bad. We've got tape that's bad. So we got somebody preferably to fix that. That could be the painter, but the more time the painter spends on fixing drywall, the less units he's painting, the more downtime you're going to have. So if you can find a finisher, and they're hard to find, but if you put enough effort into it, you'll figure it out. So finisher, painter, there's a whole nother list of expectations on painter, and there's a process on that, a sequence and the right tools to get that done quickly. The problem with painting is that everybody can paint, but the reality of it, very few people can paint. The prep work is critical. We can go into that another podcast, but just in a nutshell, that's another piece. Then I have the build-out crew. The build-out crew is going to be either one crew that can do the remainder of the build-out, or we might break it up depending on people's strengths. You have to keep people within their swim lane. If you try to bring somebody to put floors in, that's not what they do. They're not going to be good at it. That's just what it comes down to. So you're going to have to evaluate what that person can do. That person, when you interview them, I love it when they say, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. When somebody says, I can do it all, they're full of baloney. They can't.
Yeah, and you can ask them too. You can ask them right up front, listen, what is the one thing that you do great and you're the best at it and you love doing? And it's like, you know what? I really love doing flooring. Super. You are my flooring guy. Show me what you can do. There's nothing wrong with asking them, because you're 100% right. I mean, the guys that say they could do everything, yeah, they probably can't. They probably
and
can't.
if you're flooring, for example, you have 3 options. You have carpeting, you have linoleum, you have luxury vinyl, you've got laminate flooring. So decide what product you're gonna put in, and then become really good at understanding it. It's not difficult. So right now, today, just quickly, we put in luxury vinyl floor. We'll get 20 years of life expectancy out of it. It's not going to damage if an animal pees on it. If somebody spills water, it's not going to slow. Laminate has an MDF core. Water hits it, it swallows its garbage. We will never put laminate in. We will never put carpeting in apartments, because it's just going to get stained. It's going to get nicotine from smoking, animal stains. If somebody moves an animal in without you knowing about it, it just gets trash. Luxury vinyl flooring holds up really well. It's one of the most durable products you can put in today. And so, for example, if that's a decision you're going to make, look into the correct way of installing it. Go on YouTube, call the manufacturer, get knowledgeable on it, so that when that crew comes in, you have a little bit of knowledge to be able to determine if their job's done right. Again, it's a lot of effort to figure it out one time, but then once you know it moving forward.
That's right. So now, the last thing we want to cover is, how do you find contractors? I think that the days of going on Craigslist and trying to find a contractor, those days are pretty much behind us at this point, because the economy is so hot right now. Sure. So there's a general rule of thumb that says, when the economy is super hot, your talent pool starts going down, because everybody's working, right? So the people that are left, they're not necessarily the best ones. So now, how are you finding the best quality people to get those jobs done?
Sure. Let me just, there's one point that I missed before. Let me mention that and I'll come right back to this.
Yeah.
We talked, there was general contractor, there's subcontractors, which are going to work better for doing major turns, and then maintenance guys. A maintenance punch-out guy is going to be wonderful for just doing the general repairs and maintaining the property. But if you try to put that person doing a lot of unit turns of a lot of work, typically that's not going to go well. So we've been there, done that, and it's not the right fit. Going back to your question, it is a ton of work. There's no way around that to find the right contractors. It's like anything else, like even with deal flow for finding apartments, it requires a lot of consistent effort with it. So Facebook, going into moms groups. So we have, in my city, I live in Strongsville, so Strongsville moms discuss it, or community groups or county groups. Asking for referrals and that is huge. If you get into those groups, if you go into the search bar and you search for painter, drywaller, blah, blah, you will find existing posts of names and resources. So that's a great way to pull names. Indeed has been a great way. Going to Home Depot, going to a roofing supplier to find roofers, a drywall supplier to find drywallers. Once you get in with a contractor and you build a relationship, they're also evaluating you too. We're evaluating them, they're evaluating us. Are we fair? Do we set honest expectations? Do we pay them? Do we treat them fairly? Do we show appreciation? You have to do that. If you do that, you will build a relationship with that contractor. And when you need help, they are far more likely to come work for you than somebody else because they know how you are to deal with. Contractors get screwed by investors every day. Right now, there's contractors that are getting hosed by investors. That happens all the time. So we're also the bad guy. We often will look at contractors like they're a bunch of headaches, and a lot of them are. They also have had the same experience with investors. So there's been a lot of them, they've had tainted, jaded opinions. So you really have to spend the time to build those relationships and be honest and fair, keep communication open, be a good person. When you do that, you can then go to those contractors and they will provide referrals and names and other people to expand that network. When you bring somebody on and they're not working out, the best decision, if you haven't made a bunch of mistakes that have been a part of that, is to fire quickly. Oftentimes when a contractor goes bad, you're not going to be able to bring them back. I will have a face-to-face conversation. I'll explain expectations and have a conversation. And if it doesn't correct, you got to let them go. And sometimes there's a pause in doing that. It's like, well, I don't have anybody else. But because you're accepting this mediocre, service, you're also not looking for the next person. And that's another mistake that I can say that we've made. When we've got comfortable and we've had enough painters, we're not looking for more painters, and that's a mistake.
Yeah.
The best time to look for other crews is when you don't need them. That is when you look. So just like with finding deals, we're always looking for deals. We're always looking for capital. We're always looking for contractors. Contractors of those three items is probably the hardest of the other two, but because it's hard, it's also your opportunity. If it were easy, everybody would do it. So instead of looking at the negative of the situation, like it's so challenging, this and that, suck it up, deal with it, and realize that's the reason why you have the opportunity in the first place. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You'll lose money. On contractors real quick, because we provide the material, we pay for work that's completed. It's going to get easy to get sucked into, can you give me an advance? Can you do this? Can you do that? Rarely will we ever do that. If we're starting with somebody brand new and there's some circumstances and we made the mistake because we didn't have the material there, there's some underlying circumstance, I'll have some give and take, but that's just a road you don't want to go. And the other benefit of doing material and labor is we don't have to provide a 50% down payment, which you might even want. That is the first way for you to get your sock drawer clean out, is by doing that. If that contractor has bought no material, they've done no work, for what reason do they need 50% of your money?
Exactly.
And so many people do this. They make that mistake. That money is gone. You'll never see it again. So if you provide the material, there's no reason to give a down payment because they're not out any money at that point. It's just
that alone is worth the price of admission into this free mini series.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly.
Right there. Right there.
You're in the water. They want a 50% down. They've done nothing. Say goodbye to that check.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Because they will take it from you. All right,
But
guys.
if you buy the material, you don't. That's not an issue.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this time around. We have some more stuff coming up as part of this this mini series. If you have any questions that you want to ask Jack or I, please go to bulletproofcashflow.com. You're going to see a little widget there to ask a question. Smash that button. Little window will pop up. You can actually record your voice, and if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free gift. Okay, so definitely do that. We really want to hear from you. And of course, if you do like what you're hearing so far, leave a comment, rate the show. Would love, again, to get some of that feedback from you. Thank you so much for joining us this time around. We have some new stuff coming up. So we'll see you on the next one, all right? Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. 1 second.